Hello, welcome to Driving in Korea, where I drive in Korea and talk what's on my mind and piss a lot of people off. Today's just a little bit of a hot take, a little branch from the Seoul podcast. We did a Seoul podcast this weekend mostly about the Gyeonggi government's requirement that all foreigners had to go in for COVID-19 testing by March 22nd. Just a blanket calling for all foreigners because they found clusters at some factories that had dorms full of foreigners. And so blame the entire populace of foreigners. Just do that. It's more of Korea. Korea government and media has a history of painting foreigners as dirty and diseased, and this is just goes along with it. Anyway, we covered that in the last show, and since then, a lot of foreigners have been complying with Gyeonggi-do's orders. Trouble is, as we said, communications broke down. Top-down communications breakdown, in which, even though the governor's office at Gyeonggi-do required people to have tests, the actual testing centers were not prepared for the numbers of people that came, and so people were standing in for hours. They weren't social distancing. I was even told that people weren't even allowed to talk, not even to say, back up. When people are getting too close, they were being shushed all the time, and many times being turned away from testing centers. So it was just a hot mess this weekend. On top of this, finally, it is looking like it's getting some traction in the news, both international and domestic. I think KBS was interested in it. Reuters was interested in it. I doubt New York Times would do anything. They're not that active about domestic little issues like this with foreigners. From experience, I know that. This is what I get, and this is where I'm going to piss a lot of people off, is we have all these expats complaining on all these venues, usually Facebook groups, about we need to do something about this. We need to get this out into the media. And then when the media calls and says, okay, we want people to interview, everyone clams up and goes, oh, no, I'll get in trouble if I talk. Oh, I don't want to lose my job. Oh, I don't want to lose my visa. And let me get this straight, because I have done this, and I have gone on record. I've gotten in trouble with the police because of speaking out. Nonetheless, you generally are safe talking to the news about a political topic in Korea. You are safe. They do not have the will nor the resources to go after every single Weigukin who has an opinion and airs it on the news. If you're afraid of losing your job, well, that depends on your employer. I've not had issues with that. Usually when I've been in the news, my employers don't pay attention to the news, so they don't see anything. And if it's the type of employer that would fire you for doing that, you have a bad employer in the first place. But this just gets me about the expat community here is they just complain, and when it comes times for action, just turns into a bunch of cowards. Just tucks their tail in between their legs. So it just sounds like a whiny. That's when you just sound whiny. Just a bunch of spoiled brats. You just expect this entitlement to be handed to you without doing anything for it. If you want rights, you gotta fight for it. If you want this bad behavior to stop, you gotta do it. You have to inform them. You have to show them that this is not right. And the government, the Korean government, is mostly staffed by very good-hearted people who have good intentions and just need to be told sometimes that what they're doing is wrong, and they will correct it. It's just like, I was reading this book on traffic and driving behavior, and studies showed that bad drivers got better when other cars honked at them and told them they were being wrong. It's feedback. And the Gyeonggi government and all other governments, because Jeollanam-do is doing this too, and Seoul's talking about doing it, they need feedback that blanket requirements for anyone, for any health issue, anything like this, any blanket blaming or targeting a demographic just on evidence that a few have done something, that's wrong. I mean, it's like, okay, we've had a lot of our outbreaks have happened in Christian churches, so by that logic, do we just need to have mandatory testing of every single Christian in Korea? The logic there, and it's because we're not a voting bloc. We don't have much say. But anyway, my point for this hot take is expats, grow a freaking spine. Every time we have our rights trampled on and it comes time to stand up, we cower and run away like scared cockroaches. And every time we do this, they keep thinking it's okay. There are many times that we had chances. The AIDS testing, which Andrea Vandam really fought hard for that, to kill the AIDS test requirement. All the other visa restrictions that went by without any challenges. We didn't have as many visa restrictions on everyone and as many requirements on everyone. And we were planning to protest this and fight back against this. But then we ate our own. We just cowered. And because of that, it's gotten harder and harder to get a visa. We have to jump through a lot of hoops just to get a job. Because no one said anything. No one stood up. No one even, and in this case, people don't even want to talk to the freaking news, which is so minor, so pamby. Is that a word, pamby? I make up words. I myself volunteered to be interviewed, but they haven't called me yet, but someone's got to do it. And I just... Guys, decide. Are we just a debate group, or are we a part of this community? Because if we're just a debate group, I really I don't want to be in those groups. I don't want to, and I likely will unsubscribe from a bunch of them, because all people do is just complain and not do anything about it. Even it's as simple as just being interviewed by the news. All right. Anyway, rant's done. Thank you, and be safe out there.